Thank you again for joining us. Since our last meeting in person together, we have also had a virtual event similar to this in order to kind of update each other in 2025 with any progress that has happened across our 4 themes that we will be focusing on in the conversation and information sharing today. And again, in case you haven't joined us, we had our 5th International Workshop in 2024 and a virtual forum in 2025. And as a reminder, we focused in on themes around the supply and demand engaged with dog ownership, breeding for health and well-being, which covers a broad spectrum of discussion areas. Not very excitingly titled Big Data, but I'm sure you can guess what that might involve. And a more perhaps exciting title of Does the Color Matter, where we're defining breed versus variety. All of the information that was discussed in the previous workshops and workshops in years before can be found on our website. And so you're very welcome to engage with that after this event today or before tomorrow's meeting to kind of refresh your memory if you would like to do so. So in green, I have just simply copied some of the action and discussion points from the workshop and the forum. And in black, I have laid out some of the highlights of progress that has happened since that area. You will be able to see this presentation in its entirety after this event so that you can read through more slowly. But within the theme of supply and demand, there has been a number of areas, particularly in the EU, where there have been, and the UK, where there have been discussions about primarily legislation around welfare and welfare areas around importation and additional both standards and the kind of monitoring and enforcement of standards that are being laid out. For breeding for health and well-being. I won't go into too much detail on the progress that has happened because both today and tomorrow there are a number of in-depth presentations around this area, but there has been significant movement, particularly within the public engagement and education, and also the development of a number of initiatives, including Royal Canin's Choose Health initiative and the launch of an innate health assessment in the UK and other regulatory or quasi-regulatory movements within standardizing and being more informative around tools and resources for dog breeders with regards to genetic testing, including the International Partnership for Dogs Genetic Testing Survey that was undertaken this past December. For the big data, we have had a fair amount of progress developing what is now going to be distinguished as the Global Canine Data Health Alliance. This project has had some seed money from Agri that has been extremely helpful in pushing this project forward, allowing us to have the time and resources to develop this further. This is a direct reflection of the needs of not only kennel and breed clubs, but also calls within the needs of the research and the scientific research areas wanting to more efficiently share the data and the information that we already have to be able to make the most of the scientific endeavors that have already been undertaken. This also includes a lot of the hard work that has happened between kennel clubs collecting information about the dogs that they register as well. I will go into a little bit more detail about this when I talk about our website updates from IPFD as well. The Global Canine Data Alliance is a little bit of progress that we have been particularly involved in. And again, it's really about connecting the health, the genomic, and the clinical information that we already have or that we'll be gathering in the future to be able to push forward better breeding information and research that is informative to our needs. a little bit of background around the Global Canine Data Alliance is that there has been large volumes of phenotypic and genetic data that have been collected across the spectrum, and that this data represents millions of dollars of investment, but has been historically difficult to access globally. And that global element is where IPFD has kind of come in to help support. So we're looking primarily at starting with the global data mapping and developing a registry that can be open access or easily accessed by our members and by our participants to kind of help make those connections possible to push forward research and improve collaboration. For our final theme, in theme 4, again, we will have some specific speakers around this area, looking at the differences between breeds and varieties and what we mean by that. Again, a number, and this is not comprehensive for any of these themes. I know that there has been more progress made. There have been a number of studies or studies that are currently in practice or in publication that is looking at crossbreeding programs and the different kennel clubs and breed club ways of supporting that, and looking at kind of utilizing all the tools that are currently available to us as a community to try to tackle some of the bigger challenges around conformation and also around inbreeding concerns. A little bit more detail. This was a long one. There's been a lot of progress. It demonstrates some of the different projects that have been engaged with, again, primarily driven by the kennel club and breed clubs themselves, either in terms of discussing their own policies and practices around supporting the use of a variety of different breeding tools and resources to be able to improve health, and also providing some of the funding and practical resources to push forward the research around this area. Across all themes, there were 2 primary areas that were identified at the previous meetings of being really critically important. In green, you'll see compiling a list of studies related to the 4 workshop themes that we would be sharing as part of IPFD, and also a repeat comment over the years is looking at that education across the sort of the demand side of things in terms of puppy buyers and the supply side in terms of breeders and show judges. So we have made some developments and changes. If you have had a chance to look at our new website, that will help provide some structural and practical support to both of these clearly identified action points from the previous meetings. So next steps in terms of themes moving forward, if there are people who have been engaged in activities that fall under those 4 themes and we don't have updates between now and our in-person meeting in Bologna, I would I very much appreciate you sending them to me so that I can be sure that they are documented and included in our comprehensive updates in Bologna. Further information, can be updated post the event. So we will be adding any updates that we receive to our website that you can check in on, and of course at the in-person event. And if you are a theme leader, or if you're somebody who's interested in engaging in some of the actions that I've mentioned, or that you have a chance to look at after the event, we will be engaging with you between now and the meeting in person at the end of May, beginning of June. So I realize that was quite a whistle-stop tour and a quick kind of overview of things, but hopefully it'll give you some idea of where the discussions may wish to go to. And so keeping in the back of your mind when we have some time to open the floor for conversation, maybe think about, based on those themes and the what any changes or new priorities may be worth raising at our next meeting. And if you have any additional recommended actions that you feel would be important, that is something that we would love to capture as part of this event. So I will move on to my next talk, you're getting the double the Aimée for just one short event. So I will stop sharing just for a moment and just move on to my next talk. Thank you for your patience on this. And share screen. So I mentioned a few times in just a moment ago that we have had some changes at dogwellnet.com. I hope that you noticed as you were perhaps learning about this event or signing up to this event that there have been some changes in what has been a familiar friend as a website for quite some time. So as part of that, I would like to somewhat formally welcome you to the Dog Wellness Network, which is where we are moving towards as the International Partnership for Dogs. So a little bit of history and background. The dogwellnet.com website has hosted our work and our projects and our resources as part of the International Partnership for Dogs since 2015. We added additional resources in 2018, particularly the harmonization of genetic testing for dogs, and then later the health schemes database for dogs as one of our kind of key or signature projects to help collate and collect and disseminate information for the use of breeding, as well as our pedigree dogs database and a number of other kind of projects and resources that we've had available. That website did a great job for what we were asking it to do, holding information, fundraising, outreach, workshops, downloads, conversations, forums, blogs, what felt like a huge grocery basket of information for people to pick and choose from. But after almost 10 years of effectively the same sort of website, the limitations of the platform were beginning to really show, and we were really moving as well into increased engagement with not just our initial target audience of the community that is joining us here today and kind of the evolved and interested dog breeder, but to more direct communication with a variety of people interested in dog breeding and dog ownership. And so we recognized we needed to evolve and move with the demand and the interest that was needed to be able to kind of reflect that navigation and the discovery of the resources that we held. So our evolution began and we reflected on the needs of both this community and the people that we were finding us and wanting to engage with us. And we recognized that there were a number of action points that were coming out of our dog health workshops that reflected an increase in the use and need of connecting people with data and metadata, like that big data project we talked about, and that we wanted to increasingly center a more holistic and well-rounded view of dog and dog types that centered kind of the whole dog needs, not just in terms of genetic testing or clinical examinations, but kind of the bigger picture of a particular dog-centric focus. There are also many changes, as I'm sure you're well aware of, within the genetic testing and health programs landscape in terms of the number of genetic test providers and how well they communicated and what kinds of packages or not packages of genetic tests that they were beginning to provide that was making things just different for users to be able to kind of engage with. We also had, as many people did, particularly post-pandemic, changes in our finances and our resources that were available, and we recognized that the methods that we were using on the old website were really impacting our efficiency and our speed to be able to remain updated as quickly as we would like to and to add in new information efficiently. We also wanted to have our website be long lasting, and so we wanted some flexibility for new priorities and new users that come into us to be able to ensure that we are not just putting a stopgap in place after 10 years of the same website, but something that a website that can kind of grow with us as changing demands kind of impact our experiences. And we also wanted to have two websites to be able to reflect better the clarity between IPFD as a group and who we are as a community, and make a distinction between us and our resources. So from this, we developed IPFDogs.com as our dedicated page to our more operational and organizational side for the International Partnership for Dogs, to kind of give us a landing place and a platform for talking about who we are as a community, and as part of a improved engagement for people who are finding us for the first time, or maybe re-engaging with us after a few years away. This website kind of focuses on our public face and our potential collaborators to our resources and our unique collaborative projects, kind of reflects our global outreach and engagement. So we're able to kind of demonstrate our signature projects, whether they are hosted online or whether they are in-person engagement and meetings. We also wanted to have improved dedicated area to kind of demonstrate who our sponsors and partners and collaborators and who our community really is, to really put a face behind our global and diverse community and who our leaders are. We really are dog people. That's why we're all here today. And we really wanted a website that reflected our heritage as the International Partnership for Dogs, that we started really from those dedicated kennel and breed club members and researchers, to really reflect our values in putting dogs first. So we're very pleased to be able to have a platform to kind of highlight our history as well as where we're moving towards in the future. So why did we need a new resources website? Well, if you remember dogwellnut.com between 2015 and 2025, and if you're someone who's ever worked in IT, I can feel your gasp of horror that we had the same website with modest changes, but essentially the same website for 10 years. That's practically a millennium in IT terms. But our beloved DogWellNet was a treasure trove of information and resources. But as the content grew and expanded, and as we were hosting more and more demands were put upon us, the management and finding those resources became really difficult for our users, and we were aware of those challenges. The way the structure was set up also made interconnectivity across the different subject areas difficult. So we developed sort of silos of information and silos of resources, which really didn't reflect the whole needs of dog health and well-being. From a technical standpoint, data entry was very inefficient, and there were risks associated with having to enter the same data multiple times, multiple locations, which made it really difficult for updating and changing as things evolved. And we just reached a natural lifespan of where a website would be. So this is a little humor break for you. I was primarily involved with the changes with the technical side of the DogWellNet, and after 10 years of the same website, I could feel the journey ahead of me. I could feel the satisfying but long path that was going to be happening. And this is a picture of my two dogs looking very rustic outdoors. And I really identified with Poppy's hopeful but slightly terrified face of moving forward with this daunting project. So here we are now at the Dog Wellness Network. We took the opportunity as we were rebranding, or as we were changing our website, to also have a little brand uplift. We really wanted to put more meaning behind DogWellNet and to reflect that we are this networked community. So we did a minor name change to reflect who we are now, which really is that global network of people dedicated to improving dog health and well-being. We're still at the same website code, which makes address, which makes things a little easier for people hopefully to find us. And our new website allows us to center that health information, breed information, data, and research in an interconnected and dog-specific way. We have built in from the beginning an ability to expand to accommodate the projects that we know are coming, like the global canine health data. And we improved a lot of our language accessibility, again, to support our global needs and global community. And we're hopeful and excited that we have a modern platform that will hopefully last us a bit longer and be more efficient and more secure, and where we're able to add in data and have increased technical abilities, including things as simple as making it easier to read on a phone or on a mobile device that kind of reflects a lot of people's usage. We have, just to highlight a couple of areas on the new website that may be particular interest. If you go into our breeds section, you'll really see that we're more efficient in centering the specific dog, which we've made searchable by breed or variety, as well as FCI group if you want kind of a whole picture of some of these groups. We contain information for pedigree breeds and recognized by the different significant registries, as well as common mixed breeds, crossbreeds, and all dog information. We really wanted to center the dog in this development and give that whole picture of dog health and well-being. And we wanted to make sure that it was easy for people to access the evidence and supportive research for why some of the health recommendations are in place. Going into a little bit more detail, these are two different breeds in case anyone's thinking that the health test requirements for the Golden Retriever look a bit curious. These are two different breeds I've given as examples. You can see for the Golden Retriever that there's a little snapshot of the breed itself and some links to health strategies and breed standards, of which you may have been used to seeing in the pedigree breeds. But in addition to that, all within the same page, you can also find health testing requirements by country, the breed relevance ratings that we have for the different genetic tests, and we are increasingly going to be adding in clinical or testing programs as well to kind of give some idea to users about what kind of peer-reviewed research supports the usage of these different tests and programs, as well as connections to both the underpinning research or health data associated with the specific breed and to the genetic tests and clinical programs that are available as well. So you're really getting a whole global snapshot of what health information is kind of available for a specific breed. This is always evolving and growing as the information develops, and that we are able to rapidly expand that to reflect the changing breeds. If you are wanting to look into specific health conditions as well as specific traits, primarily around genetic testing, but increasingly detailed on the health programs as well, and primarily inherited conditions, but not exclusively, you can investigate our health library, which is also interconnected, and as you just saw, into that breed information as well. I feel like I might be getting close to time, so I will try to speed up a little bit. Just a snapshot about the health library. We've made it more visual. We're able to have that interconnected and linked and comprehensive information. So you see we're able to add a little bit more detail about different conditions and different traits, as well as maintaining our core information around, in this case, as an example for PRA, PRCD, that information that's critical for our research collaborators and for our genetic test providers to be able to show where you can get a genetic test and information about that genetic test or that health program itself. We've retained all of the information that you know and love in terms of key comments and specific usage and recommendations about health tests or health programs. None of the information is going to be lost. It will just be streamlined and interconnected in a more, we hope, useful way from the dog owner and the dog breeder's perspective, especially. Our new education section will help people find and source some of the information that is part of that interconnected information, as well as allowing us to have a specific platform for making it easier to find our multimedia resources in terms of kind of learning and data and information that can be particularly helpful for people who are wanting to dive deeper into our information sharing around action points in terms of health and breeding, as well as genetic diversity, and of course, at our core, some of the information, the peer-reviewed information that is collected by our research collaborators. So this could be genetic health testing references. You can go back to the original research. This could be our friends at Agria's breed statistics and data, and more to come, or as some of our collaborators or team members going out and engaging with podcasts or videos or talks that we give on various subjects to kind of give that expert information about areas that could be of interest. So what is the future for dogwellnet.com? We will be continuing to update and add in our resources. This is quite a large undertaking. So if you are already like opening another screen and exploring dogwellnet.com and you're like, why is this missing, or where is that picture, or what's happening? It is quite a daunting task to get all of the current resources that we have in place put into the website. So it'll be a little while, but we're working as fast as we can on that. And at the same time, we're taking the opportunity to make sure that we are the most up to date and that we have all of the information that people are prioritizing to reflect kind of where we are today. So if you want to help, there are ways that you can help as a genetic test provider, including providing me updated logos and your information, and of course your continued participation in the harmonization project. If you are an expert or a researcher and you happen to have images, or if you're a breed club member and you happen to have logos and breed club information, especially updated website links, all of that we would love to have kind of fresh and new so that we're able to reflect our community in the most up-to-date and accurate way. And of course, always donations or resourcing that directly affects our ability to kind of populate and expand the website more quickly.